This presentation examines the psychological underpinnings of charisma, attraction, and power, informed by the analytical framework of Robert Greene's The Art of Seduction. It explores key archetypes and strategic processes to illuminate these enduring social dynamics. This session introduces the art of seduction, an exploration of charisma, attraction, and power. We'll examine psychological observations from history's greatest seducers, analyzing various techniques. The goal is awareness, not endorsement, helping you recognize these dynamics in action. We begin with Part 1, Seductive Characters, or Archetypes, starting with the Siren, an archetype radiating raw, irresistible sexuality that bypasses logic. We continue exploring seductive archetypes, starting with the Rake, a male figure pursuing women with relentless passion, making each feel like the center of the universe, if only temporarily. Next, the ideal lover becomes a mirror of the target's deepest fantasies, transforming into exactly what the other person has always craved. The dandy fascinates by blending masculine and feminine traits, creating an androgynous mystery that defies easy categorization. Finally, the natural projects childlike openness and spontaneity, disarming suspicion through apparent innocence and a lack of agenda. We conclude our archetypes with the Star, who creates a compelling public persona that feels accessible yet distant, inviting admiration and fantasy. Stars craft a mystique for fans to project their desires onto, selling a dream rather than reality. Now we transition to Part 2, the seductive process, specifically Phase 1, separation. This phase begins by choosing the right victim, someone with an unmet need or void, and then creating a false sense of security by approaching indirectly. In the seductive process, direct pursuit raises defenses, so an indirect approach through friendship or work is key to creating a false sense of security. Next, sending mixed signals like strength with vulnerability intrigues and creates mystery, forcing the target to try and solve the puzzle. Appearing as an object of desire by demonstrating that others want you triggers competitive instinct. Finally, create a need by gently unsettling the target, then positioning yourself as the solution to their new anxiety. Continuing our look at seductive archetypes, the Coquette seduces through calculated withdrawal, giving interest then pulling away to create obsession. This alternation of warmth and coldness keeps targets off balance, breeding uncertainty and engagement. The charmer focuses entirely on the target, listening and validating to make them feel like the most fascinating person. Their secret is making others feel good about themselves. Lastly, the charismatic projects unwavering certainty and purpose, drawing followers who crave direction and meaning, radiating self-belief that becomes contagious. Mastering the art of insinuation involves hinting at pleasures to come through ambiguity, allowing the target's mind to imagine exciting possibilities. To enter their spirit, mirror the target's moods, values, and interests, creating the illusion of a soulmate connection. People are narcissistic, falling in love with the reflection of themselves. Lastly, create temptation by dangling a specific, alluring fantasy, making its fulfillment contingent on moving closer to you. The promise of pleasure, properly timed, overrides rational hesitation. We now enter Part 3, the seductive process, focusing on Phase 2, leading astray. In this phase, we learn to keep targets in suspense, as unpredictability is addictive and keeps them mentally engaged. Next, using the demonic power of words involves flattery, vague promises, and emotionally charged language to bypass critical thinking and create attachment. Words that feel good are rarely questioned, leading people to follow what they want to hear. Finally, paying attention to detail, through small, specific gestures, creates disproportionate loyalty. Continuing Phase 2, we explore how grand gestures feel performative, while small details feel genuine, building loyalty. Poeticizing your presence means withdrawing occasionally to make your return more anticipated, as absence enhances perceived value and restores mystery. Disarming through strategic weakness and vulnerability involves revealing a calculated flaw to seem human and approachable, lowering the target's guard. Finally, confuse desire and reality by creating situations that blur the line between fantasy and reality, making the target feel they are already living their dream. We continue with the seductive process. First, by isolating the victim from their usual support system to increase dependence. In isolation, you become their only anchor. Now we move to part 4, the precipice, focusing on deepening the effect. This involves proving yourself through action, preferably by sacrificing something meaningful for the target, as tangible sacrifice outweighs promises. Finally, effect a regression by triggering childlike emotions like dependency or wonder to bypass adult defenses. To deepen the effect, stir up the transgressive and taboo by introducing elements of risk, secrecy, or forbidden pleasure to create a bond of shared guilt. Shared secrets build intimacy faster than shared joy. Next, use spiritual lures by framing the seduction as a transcendent, almost religious experience, connecting to the target's search for significance. Physical pleasure fades, but meaning endures. Finally, mix pleasure with pain by alternating reward with withdrawal, creating an addiction-like craving. Intermittent reinforcement is a powerful psychological hook. We continue deepening the effect by giving the target space to fall, stepping back so they must pursue you, investing their ego in the connection. What we chase feels valuable. Now we enter part 5, moving in for the kill. This involves using physical lures, deploying touch, proximity, and sensory details to bypass rational resistance and create physical longing. Finally, master the art of the bold move, striking decisively when the moment is right, as hesitation after peak tension kills the seduction. We conclude with Chapter 24, Beware the After Effects. The seduction doesn't end with surrender. Post-seduction dynamics like familiarity and possessiveness can undo everything. Plan for the morning after by staying slightly mysterious and never becoming fully predictable. As we conclude, remember that this analysis of psychological patterns is for recognition and awareness, not endorsement. Stay curious and aware.